Everybody, welcome to the Combat Lounge. This is Cade, your host. Here is my co-host Dylan. Let's get started.
Fires back. Oh, there's Fury with the right hand. Wilder's hurt. He wobbled. He almost fell over into the ropes. He is close to going out.
Dylan, my man, what's going on, man?
What's happening, buddy? Not much, man. You know, fresh off the job, ready to break down this card, ready for these fights.
Let's do it, man. We got 4 fights we're breaking down today. Let's start off with the fight Cedriques Dumas and Josh Fremd. It's a middleweight fight. Cedriques is a up-and-comer. He's actually one of the bigger up-and-comers that people are looking forward to. And he's taken on Josh Fremd, who has a little bit more experience than him, but
a little less.
What do you got on that fight? I when I taped that fight, personally, I'll tell you what I had is I see Cedriques getting the finish in under 1.5 rounds. I just think he's the meaner and better striker, but I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, we got, man. I had not really seen much of Cedriques yet, man. When I went back and I looked at some tape and everything like that, this dude can crack. This dude is a versatile striker, equally dangerous with his hands and his feet. He's undefeated so far. Has some highlight finishes. Has a little bit of a ground game too. Has some finishes by submission. A little deceptively good ground game. His most recent fight was versus Mentes Penez. I don't know if I'm getting that right, but pronounced right. But that was August 30th of last year, man. He put him out with a guillotine 47 seconds into round 1. Very explosive striker. And then you got Josh Fremd, who's 9-4, more of a well-rounded fighter, but I wouldn't say he's super good at really anything. His ground game, if I had to give him any redeeming qualities, his ground game would probably be a strong suit, although he does like to try and stand and strike a little bit. He's coming off back-to-back losses, and to be honest, if he doesn't get this one done, he's probably going to get his walking papers. From what I watched of his fights, he's an easy guy to hit, doesn't have much head movement, doesn't move his feet very quick, kind of leaves himself out there to be hit. I don't really give him much shot with Cedriques. I think he's kind of being fed to Cedriques, and I agree with you. I have a first round TKO for Cedriques Dumas.
Yeah, we're pretty much on the same page with that one. There's some good props for that one, but if I had to guess and take a swing, I would go under 1.5 rounds for the fight in general. Whether that be whoever gets finished,
it's
right or not.
It's a big discrepancy in speed, power, explosiveness. It just, I have a feeling this one might look like a Pomeranian versus a pit bull.
Yeah. The next fight that I wanted to talk about was Nikita Krylov and Ryan Spann. That fight was supposed to happen a couple weeks back, and I think it was Krylov that backed out. He got sick or something like that. Wasn't feeling well. Now it's at a catch weight a couple weeks later. A few things on that fight. I felt like it could go either way, but we're not, since it's at a catch weight, it's kind of hard to tell. I think a lot of that plays a big part in the way things can go. You know, but if I'm backing somebody on the books, I would say Ryan Spann is the guy that I would back. I backed him the first time they were going to fight as the dog. And I'm going to back him again here as the dog still, even though it's at a catch weight. But don't quote me on that because, like I said, catch weights can change a lot of things with fights and stuff like that. But and real quick, I'm gonna pull this up. Krylov versus Spann went from a 5-round main event to a 3-round main card fight. Who do you guys think that helps more? It could help either one of them. I still favor Ryan Spann. I think now that instead of fighting at the 5-round pace, they can fight at the 3-round pace, and they can, it's just a different fight. That's why I said it can go either way. I felt like it could go either way the first time, and I feel like it could go either way this time as well. But I'm still backing Ryan Spann. I'm backing Ryan Spann. Dylan, did you watch anything on that fight? Do you have anything on that fight?
Yeah, I got a little bit on it. I think the moving it to a 3-round fight kind of favors probably Spann a little more. He's probably going to come out there with a little more fireworks, probably throw a little more heavy-handed early on, and not worry about tiring out for the later rounds. I'm favoring Spann in this one also. Maybe 3rd-round TKO. Hey, we got the unfiltered truth in here.
My guys. The next fight, we'll move on from that fight. The next fight I want to talk about is Alexander Volkov and Alexander Romanov. I take that fight a little bit. Alexander Volkov is a guy that I feel like if he's going to win this fight, it's going to be later. If Romanov's going to win this fight, it's going to be earlier. And the reason I say that is because Romanov has great wrestling, but he can gas. And if Volkov can outstand the wrestling and the ground game of Romanov, then I believe that he can get it done late because Romanov is tired. So that's the way I see that fight going. I don't have a pick for that fight, but
that one's a tough one to call.
I'm not going to bet it. If I hold on real quick, if I was a betting man, I would probably favor Romanov.
Okay. Romanov's definitely going to come in here and want this takedown. Whether he can get it or not remains to be seen. Against someone as rangy and long as Volkov, he's going to have a lot of leverage when defending the takedown. And Volkov definitely, we've seen him go into the later rounds before and still be able to, be light on his feet and be able to not get hit and to keep guys at bay with his reach. Romanov only has a 75-inch reach here, and that's a big discrepancy when you're talking about Volkov. So you have a very good point. Either as Romanov can figure out a way to take this to the ground early and get a finish, or he's probably going to get picked apart from the outside by Volkov and ultimately finished.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, is Volkov going to be a harder takedown for Romanov since he's lengthier? But when I kind of look at it, I think he is going to take him down early, and I think he will have a little bit of success. But if Volkov can just stay away from getting finished, I think ultimately the wrestling is going to be tiring on Romanov later in the fight. And I think that eventually, his takedowns are going to get timed and calculated and, stuffed. And Volkov can keep it on the feet and end up winning the fight. But like I said, I think it could go either way. Some people might agree or disagree. A lot of people favor Romanov in the fight just because of the wrestling ability. But Alexander Volkov is just one of those guys that I feel like he's very persistent. He just keeps if you don't finish him, he just keeps coming forward and stays in the fight. Agreed. Spann can go for heavy shots a lot more. Not going to underestimate Krylov, though. Dude can crack. Yeah, man, I agree. I think that I think it could go either way, but like I said, I favor Spann. I did in the first fight anyway. I bet him in the first fight, and then and then that fight didn't end up happening. I'll probably do the same for this fight. Volkov spent the last few months working a lot of wrestling. Volkov has good length, and he can pop the jab. Romanov is a bad dude, though. I can see Romanov feint a lot and can go overhand rights KO. Yeah. I could see that. What do you think?
Yeah, for me, so I can see that working out that way. The key for me for when it comes to Volkov stopping the takedown is he can't let Romanov get to his legs. If he can cut those takedowns off and get his underhooks when Romanov shoots in and stop him from getting to those long legs, that's where he's going to get his success in stopping the takedown. If Romanov can push him against the cage, get down, get a hold of those legs, Volkov's going to go for a ride. So as long as Volkov can keep Romanov off his legs, then he should have a pretty good amount of success defending the takedown. Otherwise, he's going to have a long day if he keeps letting Romanov get to his legs.
If I was the betting man on this one, though, guys, I would probably you could take Romanov. I think that would probably be the bet. If I was going to bet it, I'd probably take Romanov because of the wrestling ability. As well as you could probably do the over. I think the over is 1.5 or 2.5. Either way, I think it would go over. I really see the fight going the distance personally. Some people might disagree with that, but I feel like that's just that fight that might do that.
Appreciate you.
Hey, man, thanks for popping in for a little bit, man. We appreciate you. All right, man, on to our next fight. We got Jan and Merab. Did you watch any tape on this fight? Because I have a lot.
I've seen both of them. I've seen a lot of Jan. I've seen a little bit of Merab. I definitely see Jan pulling this one out. I think goes to decision though, but I think he's able to dominate the striking and kind of keep the fight where he wants it. And as far as getting to finish, Merab's real tough. I don't know if we see a finish, but I do got Petr Yan being able to pull this one out.
Yeah, I agree 100%, but here's why. So Jan lost his last two fights, but the last one people questioned.
It was questionable.
You know, it was a very close fight. It was a competitive fight. He lost to the champ, Aljo, and another close fight. People thought that, you know, Aljo won the fight because of his control time. But if you really want to go look at the stats, Petr outlanded him on the feet. And Aljo had 8 minutes of control time. Petr Yan had 5 minutes of control time. And Aljo was 2 for 22 on takedowns in that fight. And he won the first takedown, I believe, of the fight. Jan tripped, and he controlled him for like the rest of the round. So when I break down this fight, I look at Merab, and I go, okay, Merab's had 3 – let me just quote this real quick just to make sure. Because he's had 4 finishes in his career, but I just want to make sure that I'm right on this. Okay, yeah. He's had 3 KO/TKO victories and 1 submission victory. Merab has only been finished 1 time, and it was by submission. He's never been knocked out. So Petr Yan has great takedown defense. If Aljamain Sterling is only taking you down 2 for 22 in a fight,
that's pretty good.
That tells me you have really good takedown defense for the most part. Merab's not as big as Aljo either. Aljo is a really big 135-pounder. I don't know if a lot of you have seen Aljamain Sterling, but he is huge for 135. He should fight 145, 155, no questions asked. He's big. But besides the point, Merab's not that big compared to Aljo. He may work with Aljo. His wrestling may be great, but he's not him. He may get a takedown or 2 on Yan. He's not holding Yan there. Aljo had a hard time doing that. Aljo held Yan for 8 minutes, of course, and that's good. But he still had time in that fight to miss on 20 takedowns and get stuffed. And and Merab doesn't have the striking that Yan has. You want to talk about boxing and MMA? Yan has some of the most crisp boxing you'll ever see and power at bantamweight. You say you don't see a finish here, man, and I could agree that it might go to decision, but this might be Merab's first TKO or KO loss
I mean,
because Jan
it's
hits
definitely
that hard. That's my take on the fight. I don't think Merab has anything for Petr Yan, and you know what? Merab didn't look good in his Aldo fight either. But you know who did? Jan beat the brakes off Aldo.
That was nasty. It was close for a little bit, but then he took over.
And so that's my take on that fight. And Jan coming off 2 losses, this is a must win for him. I don't think he'll get walking papers by any means if he loses this fight. He's too good, and he fights everyone the best.
Yeah, there's no way you get rid of Jan. Even if
you don't get rid of him, no. But and he wasn't happy about his last 2 decisions. Here's my thing: he wasn't happy about his last 2 decisions. He talked about leaving the UFC after that Sean fight because he was so mad he thought he won that fight. So I don't think that Jan comes in here and tries to leave this to the judges, man.
No.
I think he comes in here and makes a statement, man, and and tells the UFC, man, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But that's my take on that fight. And if I had to guess, I would bet Petr Yan, and I would sprinkle some on the Petr Yan KO.
Yeah, okay.
And possibly decision. But I'm leaning KO, man. I think Petr Yan finishes him. I would be shocked if he doesn't. This is the fight that he has to finish to make a statement. And I don't think Merab's fought guys that can crack like he hasn't. He hasn't fought anybody that can crack like, because even when he fought Aldo's past his prime, man, he ain't cracking like Jan. So, yeah, those would be my bets if I was the betting man. What about you?
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Yeah, if I was gonna bet on that fight, I would go with the Jan KO. But I give Merab a lot of credit for his toughness and his ability to hang in there. I don't think he's an easy out at all. But down the line, late in the fight, Jan can still put you out. So the possibility is always there. What do you see for Jan next if he wins?
It's tricky, right? Because you have Sandhagen and Vera fighting. You have Henry coming back to the mix to fight Aljo. And you still have Sean waiting. I think if Aljo, this is just a feeling I've had for a while. I think if Aljo beats Henry, he might move up to 145. There's not a lot in 145 right now that he can't compete with. He's cutting a lot of weight to get to 135. He's a big bantamweight. And I think you have Sandhagen, you have Vera. If one of those guys wins, you would assume that they get the title shot. But you have Sean here waiting too, who just beat Petr Yan, who was the number 1 guy when he beat him. And Sean's the draw. And Sean's been calling for the title fight, and the UFC said that he would be next. But then you have Vera and Sandhagen, but you guys have Aljo got hurt again, and you've procrastinated this Henry and Aljo fight. So by the time Henry and Aljo fight, this Vera and Sandhagen fight is going to be done. The plan was to have Aljo and Henry fight before this Vera and Sandhagen fight, so that can be done. Those guys can take the time off. These guys can fight. And then, go from there. But I don't know. That doesn't seem to be the case. I don't know where they're going to go, but I have this feeling that Aljo might move up.
Yeah, I kind of have an idea for that. I say what I would do if I'm going to play Sean Shelby for a minute is I would have the winner of Cheeto and Sandhagen fight Sean O'Malley for the if Aljamain goes up and vacates the title for the real title or for the interim title if he doesn't vacate, then Aljo goes up and fights the winner of Henry and Volk and Yair.
Yeah, my thing with that is
the timing work out, but
if when Volk and Yair fight right now, I mean, I'm gonna just say Volk wins that fight. Volk's gonna want to move up and take that Islam fight again.
That's true. You got a point.
So Islam might move, or I think Volk's looking to beat Islam. Like he's really trying to figure out a way to beat this guy. Or maybe Islam retires, but I think Volk wants to move up, man. I think he's, I think he cuts a little bit of weight to get to 45 too.
For sure.
So, but that's all I have, man, on this fight night card. I'm looking forward to seeing Petr and Merab back in there. I think it's a fun night of fights. And then the following card is going to be very fun. We will be back to break that down next week. We will be back later this week with 1 or 2 more shows to talk about some things. Dylan, I enjoyed it, this little show with you. We actually have some news. Phil's up in San Jose right now covering Bellator. That is huge for us. That is our first credential into the Combat Lounge. That is amazing. Dylan is going to be in Spokane. We just got credentials to Syed Yokub Kakramanov. Yeah, Kakramanov. He has a fight promotion out in Spokane. We will be ringside for that. Dylan will be there he's a Spokane resident.
Looking forward to it.
Bigger things to come, man, and I am excited. Dylan, do you have anything for the people?
Nah, just everybody, enjoy the fights this weekend. It's going to be some dynamite.
Let's get out of here, man.
All right.
Now fires back. Oh, there's Fury with the right hand. Wilder's hurt. Wilder's hurt. He wobbled. He almost fell.